Yeah, I have been doing nothing but playing Pokemon Let's Go for the last week and a half since it came out.
Nice. I need to hear more about this game because I'm very tempted. I didn't get around to doing it during the long Thanksgiving weekend in America. I had planned to, and I haven't yet. We have it. One of my kids has played it a whole bunch, but I just haven't tried it yet. And part of it is, when Pokemon came out, it was video games just were not a big part of my life at that point. And so that wasn't, unlike people like, I listened to like Mike Hurley and Federico talk about Pokemon on Remaster, and that was a big part of their early video game experience, right? And I assume that's maybe true for you too, is it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, me and Mike are, I think, maybe a week or two difference in terms of age.
Okay.
So we were the same age when it came out. We, for the most part, our upbringings are pretty much the same. Like, London's not that much different to Portsmouth.
Sure.
It's pretty much the same kind of thing. Like, I don't know what it was like elsewhere, but especially in the UK, everybody was playing, Pokemon Red, Blue, and then Yellow when that came out like a year later.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting to me because I totally get that, especially when it's like one of those games that it's both, there's a level of nostalgia, but there's also, it just had an influence in like the kinds of games and pop culture and everything that you liked as a kid. And I didn't have that. And I'm just kind of wondering, is this a good place to start? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Partly because, so when the first three came out, Red, Blue, Yellow, obviously, because they were the first ones, they were where everybody started, pretty much, with Pokemon. Like, this was the first game. They weren't particularly advanced. There wasn't really a lot to it.
Right.
You wander around, you fight some Pokemon, you fight some people who have Pokemon, you win gym badges. Like, there wasn't a huge amount to it. It wasn't a particularly complicated game. And Pokemon Let's Go is a remake is probably the wrong word. That they've used the same story and town and everything like that, but they've moved some stuff around and changed how a few things work. But yeah, essentially, it is the same game. Mm-hmm. So it's like a really good starting off point for people who are new or who have never played any. I mean, I haven't played anything since Pokemon Yellow. I haven't played any of the games in between that.
Oh wow!
So for me, a lot of it is nostalgia because I only remember playing those games. But it's obviously also designed for people who've been playing Pokemon Go on iOS and Android, because that's a very, very simplified version of what Pokemon is. There's not really any battling in that. There's only been trading recently, so that's a lot simpler of a game. So this is sort of a transition between Pokemon Go, which is very, very simple, and what will be coming out next year, which is the main Pokemon series game, which will be a lot more advanced and have a lot more features.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I had heard that there are elements of Pokemon Go in this to just make it kind of a nice bridge for people who are entering the franchise at that point. And to me, it's just really smart. I mean, it feels like a game that's designed to not only, I guess, continue with current fans, people like you or Mike or Federico, but also to kind of extend its longevity by bringing in a whole new crop of people who will get into the Pokemon games.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Nintendo have sold, however many Switches they've sold over the past year and a half.
Yeah. Did you see between Thanksgiving and Monday, they sold, I think it was $250 million worth of Switches. It was the best-selling console of all time during those 5 days, which, considering the Wii and a bunch of other things, is kind of remarkable.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It kind of doesn't surprise me. I don't know how much you saw, but the deals that were being offered on Nintendo Switches were incredible. Like, there were bundles that were basically the price of the Switch with like 3 games. I don't know if this was just UK or not, but they were just selling out straight away.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of people getting Switches for Christmas this year.
Yeah, there was and Let's Go has done extremely well too. Just in the US, it's hit 1.5 million units, and I think worldwide it's like 3 million, which is, I mean, the game is it's been out like 2 weeks, a week and a half, something like that.
Yeah, I think a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, just short of
I
2
think
weeks.
so,
I think
yeah.
it came out on like a Thursday or something.
Yeah, it's been I mean, I think the thing is with Pokemon, like even if you've never played it like you know what Pokemon is. You recognize Pikachu if you see it on an advert or in some wherever you'd see it, TV, movies, whatever.
Sure.
Everybody knows what Pokemon is, and they've sold all of these Switches, and you've got to assume a big portion of those are gonna be for young kids or teenagers, stuff like that. And although there is a lot of games for the Switch, there's not a lot of sort of the top tier games, because they're drip feeding them, every month or so. And Pokemon is a huge game to come out, and you've got Christmas around the corner, so everyone's going to be buying it for that. And it's kind of just a perfect game to essentially sort of restart the Pokemon brand again, because it's been a long time. It's been like 20 years, and although they're still massively popular, they're nowhere near as popular as they were when the original games came out.
Sure. And there's little things like, I guess the drop-in play is designed in a real clever way that makes it kind of a family-friendly game where someone who has a little more experience, is a little better at the game, can help out like younger kids and things with various things they're too difficult in the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, when I bought it, I bought the Pokeball Plus controller as well because I'm a child.
I heard you hurt yourself with it. I saw you on Twitter say you hurt your wrist or something.
I hurt my shoulder quite badly.
Oh, your shoulder, that's right.
I think I pulled a muscle or something in my shoulder from throwing it too aggressively.
It's a very dangerous video game.
Oh, absolutely.
It should come with a warning on a little sticker warning you of shoulder injuries on it.
I think that's probably that's probably just like getting old.
It's all that typing on a keyboard. It's like you've got the little T-Rex hands from doing development.
Yeah, that's the one. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I bought it. I got the Pokeball Plus. I'm all ready to play it. I'm really excited. And then I knew about the drop-in play, and I thought, Jess will probably drop in and out every now and again, and play a little bit or help me out or whatever.
Right.
We have ended up playing the whole game together. I'm not even allowed to play it by myself at this point.
Yeah,
because we're just having so much fun playing together.
Sure. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. I mean, it's amazing when you think about the Switch. It's really, there's a 1-2 holiday season punch coming because not only does Let's Go just came out, but Super Smash is just around the corner. It's like a week away.
Right. I mean, again, that's like another huge franchise for the Switch. It wouldn't, I think they're going to shift. They're going to shift so many more Switches in the next. Was it 3-4 weeks until Christmas now?
Right.
And then presumably a bunch more in like the Christmas and January sales.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was thinking about this today, is that one of the things I think is driving the Switch is that because it's portable, I think they're selling more. And I'm just thinking, about my own family. There are three Switches in our family. And now that's because 2 of my kids are in college. And so, from college kids' standpoint, the Switch is perfect because it doesn't take up a lot of room. You can play it. You can bring it home over the summer and play it. You can travel with it. You're not lugging some giant box around and you don't need a TV. You can play it wherever you go. So not only have they sold 3 Switches into our family, but like, I've already bought 2 copies of Super Smash, one for me and one for my other kids, for the holidays. So I'm buying multiple of everything when it comes to the Switch, it feels like. And I don't really mind because it's just such a great system, and I know everybody loves it in our family.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I said to you before we were recording, like I went and saw some friends over the weekend, and I took the Switch with me because I was like, well, obviously we're going to play Mario Kart. Why wouldn't we?
Sure.
And a couple of things about that, like one, to what you said, it's such a small system, even, with the Switch itself and the dock, the cables and stuff like that. There's not a lot to it.
Yeah.
And the other great thing, like, there was 4 of us over the weekend, so obviously I need 4 controllers of some sort. I just took the 4 Joy-Cons. You know, it was such a small amount of stuff to take for 4 people to play Mario Kart, and we ended up playing pretty much for about 10 hours.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. It makes a lot of sense. I've taken it on a lot of trips as well and played with people when I've been on trips. You know what you should check out? I got to find this thing on my Amazon. Here it is. You should check out this Bass Stop portable dock replacement case for the dock. It is, Federico turned me onto this, and it's only $14. What you have to do is you have to take your Switch dock apart, pull the circuit board out of it, and put it in this thing. But it's incredibly tiny. It's great for traveling, or if you just want to set up the Switch somewhere where you don't have a lot of space and don't want that big giant piece of plastic around. I'll send you a link to this so you can take a look at it.
That sounds horrifying. But I think I've seen some things like this in the past.
Yep.
If I can get a second dock, now bear in mind the docks are almost completely sold out everywhere in the UK right now, and have been for months. If I can get a second dock, I might do this, because I'm planning on getting a second dock anyway for our spare room.
Right.
You know, so I can just pick up the Switch and come wherever. But finding the docks at the moment at a decent price is really, really hard.
That's interesting. Like, I got a dock. I just sent you it in iMessage, but when I first got my Switch, about, I want to say 2 months later, I got a spare Switch a dock on Nintendo's website, because it was really weird. It was one of those things where they just appeared one day without a bunch of some parts of them. What was it? It had no HDMI cable.
I think it was the power cable it didn't have.
What's that?
Right? Was it the power cable that didn't come with it?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Right?
Yeah, that's what it was. There was no power cable, so you had to use your own USB-C cable and wall plug. But I just happened to run into it when someone tweeted about it. Bought 2 of them, and that was one of the first things that I imported to Italy for Federico. Was because it was months before they even sold them officially as a separate item, and now they do. And I saw them for, I think, like $50, and they're usually like $60 over the holidays. But I don't know what the availability is here right now. But I've had mine for a while, and I haven't used it a lot. And I thought if I had in this smaller case, I might actually use it more often.
Yeah, certainly you sort of triggered me to start looking around again, see if I can pick one up. But I'm actually just looking on even eBay in the UK. There is one on eBay right now.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow. Yeah, because my understanding is
I don't know where all of these are going.
Use third-party docks because Nintendo's doing some sort of special USB-C power management, and you can fry your Switch if you use a third-party docking situation.
Oh yeah, I definitely wouldn't use a proper third-party dock. I mean, as you say, the solution you're talking about is a little bit different because you're still using the official components.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff like
It's just the plastic casing. You just have to be comfortable prying apart the existing one and dropping this board into this other thing.
So it's been a bit of a roller coaster with Switch news this week, because there was a conference or something where like a Nintendo employee of some kind sort of joked about a Skyward Sword remake.
Yes,
or remaster. I thought
it was
for the
a
Switch.
concert where they were playing like Zelda music or something like that, like an orchestra or something. Maybe I got that completely wrong, but it was like this offhand jokey comment that this Nintendo person made, and Reddit and then blogs after that just went wild with it for I guess about 24 hours, maybe a little longer.
Yeah, and then as it's happened, and I think you sent me the link this morning, that Nintendo have said, no, we've got no plans for that. Now, as I said to you, even if it was happening, of course Nintendo are going to say we've got no plans for that, because they want to do the Nintendo Direct and announce it themselves and all this kind of stuff. But I am kind of leaning towards, this guy probably just said something without really thinking about what the implications of that would be.
Right. And when I saw it, I mean, it was the kind of, I saw someone mention it on Twitter or something, and it's the kind of thing that I would typically send you or some, and other people, but I looked at it and I was like, this is so thin. This rumor is so thin. I don't believe it. And I guess they've said it's not true. Now, part of what I saw today was one of the things Nintendo has done as they've moved their systems forward over time is they take old games and they try to re-implement them for the new systems to see what the experience would be like. In part, I think, just to test out the new hardware and see what the gameplay is like on known, unknown properties, and also as research for what they might do a reboot of. Now, and part of this was a talk given by someone at Nintendo at GDC, where they showed some of the old Zelda games that they've tested out for things like the Wii U and the Switch and other things. This is apparently not an uncommon thing.
Yeah, it's let's say it's a bit of a shame because this is something that I particularly would be looking forward to. But I think honestly, I think this is going to happen sooner or later.
I hope so. I think that the success of the Switch and the success of games like Breath of the Wild guarantee that Nintendo is going to just keep making new Pokemon games, new Zelda games, and new Mario games. I mean, all those games have been incredibly successful, and it'd be shocking for them not to just continue to both bring some of the older titles forward and also develop new stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm quite happy with what they've got so far, and I'm sure they're going to bring a lot more stuff soon-ish.
Yeah. All right. So, Rob, switching gears away from video games for a minute, I thought I would tell you about this little, I suppose this is a wearable dongle. This is, and I'm not talking about those T-shirts that they're doing for Upgrade. I'm talking about a UV sensor that I was testing for Mac Stories. I saw this thing come across the news a couple of weeks ago, and it really intrigued me because it doesn't require charging. It just it uses NFC to collect the data that is that from the little device, which is just a little chip in this little tiny circle, this little disc, which is about the size of your pinky nail, not even that big, and it collects UV rays throughout the day and gives you a sense for whether you've been overexposed to the sun. So I went down to the Apple Store nearby, checked it out.
I think you went to pick it up just after we recorded last time.
Oh, we did. Yeah. Because
I think we might have mentioned this right at the end of the show last time.
Yeah, I had that moment in the morning. I was like, I could go to the Apple Store and get back before I record with Rob, right? And then I realized I couldn't. But yeah, I did. I went and got it right after we recorded, and I almost immediately lost it. And it's too bad because the design of the thing is not great. I liked it. I thought the app was pretty good. I think it's kind of a neat idea to monitor how much sun exposure you have throughout the day. I mean, that's a good thing to know. It's not something it's not something you can tell on your own. I mean, it's just like an invisible thing. I mean, the sun's shining, I suppose, go run for the shade, but you can't really measure it with any precision by yourself. And I enjoyed using it while I did. The thing is, though, that it was the clip for it was a lot like a large size paperclip, and it was made out of the same kind of shiny metal, and you clipped it on your clothes somewhere. And I tried clipping it on my shirt sleeve, but on your shirt sleeve, that just gets banged around too much, and I could tell it was going to fall off. Then I ended up settling on putting it on like the collar of my shirt. But, it's cold here now, and I was wearing a coat, and I was wearing a T-shirt, and I had a shirt over top of that, I think, and I went out for a walk, and I didn't think anything of it. And the thing is so light, you don't really know whether it's there or not. And eventually I looked down, and it was gone. And so I wrote about it because it was like, well, how am I going to review this? Fortunately, I had taken the time to take pictures of it and to test it thoroughly before I lost it, but just barely. So I wrote about how I lost it, and it's I say it's too bad because it was really good, except for this one thing, which is like I just don't know how you would keep track of it. And one of the things that I said was like, I happened to last week have to go to the DMV and get a replacement driver's license because I lost it when I went to Florida. And they gave me, like, I went through the million lines, and at one line they give me my little piece of paper to take to the other counter and with my ID and other things, and they put them all together with a big paperclip. And so I had this paperclip in my hand. I put it in my pocket, and I thought to myself, you know what? This little sensor, it's a lot like having to keep track of a $60 paperclip. It's like if you had to keep track of, right? Think about it. If you had to keep track of a valuable paperclip every day, all day long, how would you do that? It's just not, I mean, it's just too small. And the thing with this is it's no good to put it in your pocket because then it can't see the sun. It has to be, by definition, on an outer layer of your clothing, which is exactly where it's going to get bumped or moved by something else. And it's so light and so small that you'll never notice it, which is its fatal flaw. And it made for a kind of a funny story. I know Federico got a chuckle out of it. He said he was very sorry that I lost it so quickly, but that it was a good story.
I mean, I clicked onto the story because obviously we'd spoken about it, and this was a couple of days later, and I clicked onto it and I started reading, and then I saw the bit where you said you'd lost it, and I was laughing so hard. I mean, I did feel bad, of course I did. But it was just so funny that we'd spoken about, oh, it's really tiny and you're going to have to clip it somewhere. And then, like,
right. I sent you a picture of it, I think, too, because I took a picture of it right when I unpacked it after I got out of the Apple store. And I immediately started having these feelings like, oh, this thing is awfully small. And I was like, where am I going to put it? I wasn't, I hadn't really set it up yet. So I like threw it in the cup holder in my car and I thought, oh boy, this could almost get lost among the change in your car. I mean, it was really small, and it didn't take me long to actually, in fact, lose it. So $60 down the drain, but whatever, it was fine. It was. I'm not going to buy.
You got a funny story out of it.
Yeah, as I said, I'm not going to buy another one only because I know I would lose it again. I mean, I like it if they came up with a solution that was a little more. Less prone to being lost, maybe I'd go for it. But as a result of that, I'm not planning to buy another one.
Cool. So yeah, I think that's probably about it for this episode. Hopefully you don't lose any more things that you buy in the next couple of weeks.
I'm gonna try really hard not to. I lost my driver's license, and I did find the driver's license. By the way, it was just tucked into my bag somewhere where I didn't see it. So now I have two driver's licenses.
It means you can drive two cars at once. I think get there twice as fast.
I think that's right. Two at the exact same time. I think the first one is effectively canceled, so I'll have to use the new one when it shows up in the mail.
Cool. Okay. That's as long as you've got one. That's good.
I do.
Cool. So show notes are at ruminatepodcast.com/76. I'm still on Twitter. Haven't gone back to Mastodon yet. And you're still there?
I am.
And we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
I kind of dropped off the face of Twitter over Thanksgiving. I needed a little break, but I'm back.
Excellent. Cool. Well, we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.